Hello, mathletes. We are going to divide rational expressions today. So there are 6 steps for dividing rational expressions. The first is to factor everything. Just like when you are multiplying, you are going to factor everything. You are going to also draw and let me make sure that I spell this correctly, parentheses around them to ensure you do not kill happy kittens. And there, I even drew a kitten for you just to say, don't kill me. Draw parentheses. Step 3, we are going to keep the first expression the same. And step 4, we are going to change the division symbol to multiplication. Step 5, we are going to take the reciprocal of the second expression. And if you forgot what a reciprocal is, no worries. That's why we have examples. And finally, step 6, you are going to use the rules for multiplication. So, with these steps in mind, we are going to look at our example problems. So our first example problem is example A, and again we are going to keep the first, so I'm going to have 3x to the 4th over y squared. I'm going to change my division sign to a multiplication sign, and then the reciprocal, if you'll remember, is when you flip your fraction, so your denominator becomes your numerator, and your numerator becomes your denominator. So next I'm going to multiply across, so I have 3x to the 4th y all over 18x to the 3rd y squared. And our final step, we are going to reduce. So I can reduce 3 over 18, so my 3 becomes a 1, my 18 becomes a 6. I have x to the 3rd here and x to the 4th in the numerator, so I can cancel out all 3 of these x's, and my x to the 4th becomes just a single x. Finally, the y in the numerator can cancel out, and my y in the denominator just becomes y to the 1, or just y. When I go across, my numerator is 1x, or just x. My denominator is going to be x over y. So that is our first example of dividing rational expressions. Our second example, again, we take our first expression and we are going to write it as 5x squared, and we can go ahead and factor the denominator. So I am going to make that x minus 4 times x minus 1. Then I'm going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign. And then I'm going to take the reciprocal. So I'm going to have x minus 1 in the numerator. And then I'm going to have 10x in the denominator. Now, you can cancel right now if you would like. I'm going to go ahead and keep everything the way it is and just extend my fraction bar. Then I'm going to circle my like terms so I can cancel them. And again, I can reduce. I have a 5 in the numerator and a 10 in the denominator, so I can change my 5 to a 1 and my 10 to a 2. And then I have an x squared in the numerator and an x in the denominator, so the x in the denominator gets canceled out, and my x squared just becomes an x. So what's left in my numerator is an x, and what's left in my denominator is a 2 and an x minus 4. And finally, we have to distribute this, so my final answer will be x in the numerator. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So my final answer is x over 2x minus 8. And then our final example, I'm going to clear out some room real quick with my eraser. And then I can once again rewrite my first expression. Then I'm going to change my division sign to a multiplication sign, and then I'm going to take the reciprocal of the second expression. So I'm going to go ahead and below here, when I'm factoring, I have an r plus 1 and I have an r plus 2. So then I'm going to now put that in the numerator since I'm taking the reciprocal. And then I have 4 in the denominator. So when I'm trying to cancel things out, I'm going to have, and I'm just going to make this line across. I can cancel out my r plus 1 in the numerator and my r plus 1 in the denominator. So then what leaves me, what I have left remaining is r plus 2 squared, since I have 2 of those. So I'm just going to write it as r plus 2 quantity squared over 4. And of course, we have to go ahead and have my r squared plus 4r plus 4 all over 4 to have my final answer. All right, it's your turn to go ahead and practice. You have 3 practice problems, and then you can go have Miss Calloway or Miss Luviano verify that all 3 of your answers are correct.